So here we are, August the 18th, a nice warm but cloudy day. The last video I did rain the allotment was way back in June. I had intended to do a July one, but never mind, here we are in August. Let's show you what our second half of the summer, if you like. I'm not sure when summer starts and begins, but anyway, let's just go back a bit and show you what I'll call me pretty bit. I had a really good show of sweet peas, not as good as last year, but there you go. And now the cosmos have come up between, and so has the nasturtiums, and they're filling up and making nice pretty bits. Then I've got my French marigolds, which are in pots, and my hanging baskets. They're looking really good as well, and the bees are loving it. Then let's go for my cold frame, which is now turned into a warm frame. Now you remember I had some very early carrots and parsnips and things like that. They were just right for my show. I got a first for me carrots, and it's because I sowed them in January, of course. And then I'll put in here what I thought were melons. I keep on about blinking labelling, don't I? But it's turned out that they're not melons at all. They're squash. But then who cares? Squash, melons. They're all eatable, so maybe I'll have more squash this year than I expected. Right, now let's go on rain and have a look. Have a look in the little greenhousey porchy bit. There we go. The porchy bit. That's where all us lads and lasses now. We've got more ladies up here than we ever had, and we all sit there and we have our cup of tea, listen to the radio 4 Extra, of course. Then we've got our hanging baskets. I've sown an hanging basket up there with pansies because I sowed some pansies. They've come up and they're flowering. I wasn't expecting it to be quite that quick, so I've done some hanging baskets. Then in here in our porchy bit, even though it doesn't get any direct sunlight, it does get quite warm, and we're doing well. And I've got that Cordyboar tomato. It's huge, or big if you like, but unfortunately the blinking woodlice love it. Look at that. I hate woodlice, but I just don't know how to combat them. Then we've got growing in here the peppers. The chili peppers have done well. They're not very ripe at the moment. We are only in August, but in the greenhouse they're doing ever so well. So I think that's it. Oh, my garlics have now been pulled, and they're up there, and I've got hidden away up there in the shade. I've got some primulas which I've broken into individual pots, and they're sprouting. So now let's go across to our greenhouse. Once again, the sweet peas are finished, and nasturtiums are coming round and keeping a bit of colour, and also it acts as a bit of shade as well. So in the greenhouse I've got Ailsa Craig and Moneymaker growing alongside of each other, and they're doing exceedingly well. I'm picking tomatoes off of them. Then we've got chili peppers, and they're looking good, aren't they? Look at those. And ordinary peppers, or sweet peppers. Got a nice ripe yellow one there, look, ready to go. Another chili pepper. Melons, they grew well, but the leaves have just all gone crunchy, and there's no melons on them. So I might just admit defeat and give up. But I've got some peppers down there in grow bags, and they're looking superb as well. I mean, look at those two lovely peppers. Look, they're as good as anything you're going to get in a supermarket. And that one there, look, that's as big as your fist, and it's not ripe yet. So I'm quite pleased with that. And come round, I've got Cordyboar growing on this side, and they haven't got woodlice in them. That could be because I've got them in that bowl. Look, it's got a turned over edge, so the woodlice can't crawl up it. Maybe that is the answer, but the plant itself is loaded with tomatoes, and they're starting to ripen off. There we go, just look at that beauty there, look. So I'm quite pleased with those. Right, let's go on outside now then. Now outside I've got those pots and things that I put through just because I had the plants and I wanted to make the place look a bit tidy, and I've got a couple of geraniums there as well, which are excellent. So all of that looks so good. And I've still got a few plants. I've got a couple of winter cauliflowers there where they head up in April, and I've got a few celeries, and I've got the tray of pansies which I've still got to make a decision on. And I did sow, a bit tongue-in-cheek, a tray of leeks. I'm going to put them out late and see what happens. I'm probably keeping covered. Then moving on, this would have been my bed for celery, but it all went to seed. I've got one over the back there that survived. That will be a cold frame through the winter when all this rubbish that's in the front here is all taken, cleaned away. That'll be a cold frame, and I'm not sure what I have it, probably lettuce. Then my 4 bean plants, my 4 climbing French beans have done well. I've been picking beans off them, and well, they're still producing, so I should let them keep going. And then eventually I should pull all that out, and then I should probably have, I've sown a few beans, dwarf beans in there, and then that'll have a lid on it for the winter. Then coming round to my red currants and black currants, I really should be pruning out. I'm not sure which. One of them you prune now, and one in the spring. One of them I should be pruning the stalks that had the berries on. Anyway, it's a good chance that all of this lot will be dug out by next spring anyway, so I'm not too sure yet. I need to, I'll Google it, because I want to alter my strawberry bed. So let's move on to the strawberry bed. Here we go. Strawberry bed. I've cut all the strawberries off, and I did that last month and sorted them all out, and now they've put on new growth look, and they're looking quite healthy. In fact, over the back there's a flower. Right, and then let's have a look at my little raised beds. Perhaps we'll go to the other side, and look back this way. Okay, here we are on the other side. As you can see, the back end of the greenhouse, that is the north facing side. I've got those nasturtiums. I rather like them. They seem to do alright there in the shade. They get a little bit of early morning sun, but that's about it. And then I've got a few bags of potatoes growing here and some strawberries. But there's me bed that I had broad beans in, and I've sown some parsnip in the hope that they'll overwinter, and a couple of cauliflowers to overwinter. Then coming round, I've sown some late carrots. They didn't go in until first week of July. They're just showing. They may still produce carrots through the winter, I don't know. I should probably cover them anyway. Then I've got me bed of celery. I've put them in close only because Monty Don said so. Usually what happens is they get infested with slugs, snails and wood lice. So what I'm hoping is I'm going to cure that. I'm not quite sure how yet, unless someone's got any ideas. Then me French beans, my dwarf French beans, they are absolutely excellent. They are just so good. And then I've sneaked a little row of lettuce in there because I was getting short of lettuce. Then the carrots that I sowed the last week of June, first week of July, they've got little baby carrots on already. They're going to be good for September. And then the onions, I pulled the onions because we had rain forecast, and did we have some rain. Filled all my bins up. So next stop then is going to be me grapes. Let's have a little close-up look at the grapes. Back on this side again, looking at the grapes. Now last week, or the week before last, I did a video I was going to put out, but then I had trouble with the camera, so it's delayed things. And I was boasting that the grapes were in advance of the ones in France. But then we've just had a fortnight of not so warm and wet, and they seem to have stopped. So I'm hoping that that's not going to be a disaster. Though they still look quite healthy, so I'm optimistic. But not quite as optimistic as I was a fortnight ago, and a couple of them got little sneaky bits where it looks as though they're splitting. I think the warm weather might have hardened the skins, and then we've had all that rain, and it's splitting them. So we just got to hope that they're still going to be good. And then moving on to, we've got our bath that's got the melon in it and the cucumber. Let's go and have a closer look at that, shall we? There we are, there's a closer look, and I've actually got a melon. The wood lice keep attacking it. They just sort of scrape the skin, but they haven't got through it, so hopefully I'm going to get a melon out of that. That one is just a bit bigger than a tennis ball, but I've had 3 cucumbers out of there already. So yeah, so I took the polythene off just to show you. And then next to that is our asparagus, of course. Let's go back to the path. Asparagus, I give that a dressing, bloodfish and bone. It actually put a little spurt on, look, with some a bit of new green growth. So they are now making good roots for next year. And I'm starting to do, under the grapevine, I'm starting to do a couple of controlled things. I've got some mint there that I'm going to grow on, and I've got some horseradish there, and I might put some comfrey in there as well, but in controlled thingy so that the roots can't spread out. In other words, bits of tube or bucket down in the ground. Now this bit, the next bit, moving on to where me squash are and stuff like that, I'm chuffed to bits with all this lot. It's looking really healthy, even though the leaves are beginning to start looking a little bit yellow now. That's mostly because they've got their fruit on them. If you look down there, there's a really nice hold on, where are we? There we go. There's a really nice squash there just behind the pipe, and I've got 4 or 5 squash there. Even though I've got a feeling I've got 6 plants, I would have liked to have had 6 squash, but there's still more coming. The whole thing depends on the weather, doesn't it? In the next 4 weeks. And then my sweet corn, which act as a sunshade to my courgettes. Let's move on very gently to the courgettes. See, there's another squash in there, look, just did we get it? Yeah, in there. There's another one coming there, you see. So it's just a case of the weather. No, some warm weather. Then these are my courgettes. They're doing excellent. I'm so pleased with the courgettes. I've only got 4 plants, but they give me 2 courgettes a day, which is lovely. Oh, and I've got a first for my courgettes in the show. Then I've got another row of sweet corn, and they are protecting me pumpkins. The pumpkin leaves are a bit small, but that hasn't stopped them producing pumpkins. You see, there's a nice one there, another one over there, another one over there. So there's 3 pumpkins, 1 on each plant. I've got 2 strange pumpkins on another plant over there. They look more like marrows. And then I've got your ordinary common garden yellow pumpkin over the back there. So all in all, pumpkin's good. I tongue-in-cheek put some more sweet corn in. I'll put them in July, and they've all popped up, look, which is unusual for me, because usually they get eaten by something, but perhaps there's enough for everyone, for all the creatures to eat, but they have to eat mine. And I've just put them in tongue-in-cheek really to if the autumn is nice, then we'll get some corn off them, but if not, well, we're satisfied with what we got, eh? Right, let's move along. Sunflowers have been absolutely tremendous. I love sunflowers. They're so good for attracting the bees as well. So, as we said, let's move along. So that, and those sunflowers are what are protecting the squash from hot sun. And then I've got some zinnia. I've just put these in really just to make the plot look a little bit nice. I've dug my potatoes. That's the second earlies. That's the Charlotte. We had rocket in, they were Charlotte. And then I've got my main crop here, which is looking really healthy. Almost too much foliage, but we'll see. And I'm doing a video with just the potatoes. The object of the potato video is to show the 3 different types of potato and when they're ready for digging and so on. In other words, the size of them weekly. Then I've got a row of potatoes here which are all mixed, and some have died off and some haven't, which only goes to prove that some have a longer lifespan than others. Right then, beetroot, tremendous. I'm picking beetroot, pulling beetroot. Picking or pulling, I don't care. But there we go, there's the big beetroot. There's some really nice sized ones. There's a swizzle round here. There we go, there's a nice one there, look. And as I say, and then I've got beetroot in the raised bed and beetroot straight in the ground. There isn't any difference. The same with the leeks, they're looking good. I can see just a little tiny bit of rust. I might pull them leaves off. Raised bed leeks and straight in the grain leeks, no difference. Parsnips, well, we don't know till we pull them. But it would seem to me that it doesn't make any difference, raised bed or in the ground. Generally speaking, the raised beds, the soil is probably better because you fill them up with compost heap. And straight in the ground, they tend to get moisture better. Then my tomatoes, somebody keeps watering my tomatoes for me. They keep getting water on the leaves, but they're doing good as well. The raised beds ones are doing slightly better than the ones straight in the ground. And I can only conclude that that is because the soil in the raised bed is better soil. And I have kept them watered, so and my friends water for me when I'm not here. And I think that's what's burnt them leaves. It's not blight, it's definitely crinkly leaves, and I think that's come from the watering with a hose on a hot day. Then we've got our brassicas. The pigeons have started attacking, so I've put all sorts of wire all over them, and looking good. I've got this row of spinach, beet. It's a cross between leaf beet and spinach. It's sea spinach. I've brought some seeds in once and planted them, sowed them, and they've crossed. And then I've got some sprouts and a couple of cabbages. There's a cabbage there, it's ready to pick. Pond's looking good. Got froggies in it, weeds overtaking. Lily's looking good. There was a lily on there a couple of weeks back, but we've had a fortnight of not so bright sunshine. It's warm, but I think that's sort of just put the flowering of the lily back on anyway. And then the grapevine at the end here, which catches the sun, these are in advance of the ones in France, and they're just looking superb. I'm just so chuffed with them, and I'm hoping to be able to make some wine with them. So red wine, English red wine, eh? And then I'll set up a little makeshifty thingy there to catch some more rainwater. And then I've got these couple of tomato plants here, which were supposed to have been short and bushy and ideal for pots, but it looks like they'd have much preferred to have been in the ground. But they're lovely. They're ever so tasty, slightly tangy, but very sweet as well. Don't know what they are, but there you go. Right, let's have a look at the whole plot then. As I say, oh, I tell you what I didn't tell you though, that in fact we'll nip over there now. That's onto the other path. On the other side, how about them for peaches? And they're a really good size too. Look at that, an English peach. I'm chuffed with them, and they're just beginning to smell of peach, so I'm assuming by that it's ready to pick. I hope so, because I've picked one this morning and I'm going to take it home. Apple tree is loaded still. I'm not sure whether I ought to take more apples off of that or not. I've got a feeling I've probably got too many. I've taken a good half of them off. And then exactly the same with the pears. They still seem to be getting bigger, so maybe I'll just leave them and see what happens, eh? And then the bushes that I got here, that was me black currant bush, red currant bush, which was a cut-in. The black currant bush that I bought, that is the ebony. Then I've prepared an area there that's going to have a gooseberry bush in it. Then there's me marrows growing here. I've picked a couple of marrows. In fact, I think I've got first prize for the biggest marrow. So there we go. That's the plot again. And got another view of the pumpkins from this side. Look, and there's still a flower there, look, with a pumpkin on it. I've got a self-sown runner bean that must have come out of the compost. So let's go back up this end. I ought to get one of them smoothie trolley things instead of walking backwards and wobbling the camera all over the place. The potatoes in bins, remember I emptied these, you remember, and I took potatoes out way back in March, and I put some more in. Some that had self-sown and they were coming up all over the plot, I just put them in. So I've got more potatoes there. I'm going to have potatoes coming out my ears. So there we go, let's have a look. This is the Merlot grapevine, the one right at the back end. And I've got some plastic. I'm going to build a shelter for these for next year. I just got to hope that the birds don't take them before they ripen. I'm going to put all sorts of things up, traps and stuff, you know, not traps, some netting and some make-out crows and owls and things. So there we go, there's the plot. There's the plot from this far end. And I'll see you sometime. I'll probably do another one, probably end of September-ish, something like that. But look out for my potato one. I won't do that until I dig the last lot of potatoes. So, bye for now. Bye.